What's going on, Miguel? Host of Life Full Circle Radio. What's going on? So we have been out of here for a couple of weeks, and so now we're back, and so there's that. All right, so a lot of stuff going on. Make sure you like, subscribe, and follow. All the little instructions that are right down there for you. Tory Lanez, who, for some of us, some old heads, we ain't paying much attention to it, but that's the whole Megan Thee Stallion and shooting her in the foot, and he's in prison, and I guess he's getting into some stuff over there in the prison cells, and they're trying to get him out and all that good stuff. The Diddy Trial is going on. I'm probably the only person not paying a lot of attention to it, so Kia's going to get me up to speed because I'm thoroughly grossed out. Joe Biden has stage 4 prostate cancer, and we're going to talk about that. Alex Fine, Angela Reese, and Caitlin Clark, the season started, and we're already ready for the smoke, so that's going on too. And so Brooklyn Bridge, DDG, Louisiana inmates, we're going to try to get this all in before the show is out. Super producer, what the deal?
What's up? How are you doing? I'm literally on the X doing our posting because there's a lot to talk about and people are all over the place with all these posts. And happy Monday, everybody.
Oh, you got your wine? Yeah.
Got my wine.
You still hanging out on X, huh? Still hanging out on X.
It's really, it's like a bad breakup where I keep saying, I'm not going to go back. I'm good. I don't need you. And every morning I'm like, oh, I got to read
it. I've actually taken X off of, I've taken X off of my phone and everything. And so what's going on, Playboy? M-I, cricket letter, I, cricket letter, humpback, I. I've taken X off my phone. I don't even want the stuff to come up. And then every now and again somebody send me a link or something like, click. Boom. X. I don't want no but anyway, man, Tom Miguel, Ford, Lincoln, Nissan, and Kia. Okay. All right. That's our man, Andre Sides, one of our super fans. We appreciate that, brother. All right. So anyway, a lot going on out in these internet streets. And where you want to start?
Let's start with Diddy, since that is what everybody has been talking about. We are now, I want to say, on day 12 of the Diddy trial of Sean Diddy Holmes. And it has been one hit after another. The prosecution has started to lay out their case, and the defense has started to really hit back. It's to me, right now, he's 100% guilty of abusing Cassie. There is no doubt about that. It's 100% guilty of that. And the state is still now trying to build up their racketeering case and their RICO case. And they are now starting to put people on the stands that worked for Diddy and Bad Boy. Today, we had Dawn Richards, who was a member of Jenny DeCain and also a member of that group, Diddy's Dirty Money. And she, again, was worrying about, she saw him abuse Cassie and was worrying about losing her job, which is why she stayed quiet and stayed with Bad Boy, because he was holding her career over her head. Mm-hmm. Now, people, keep in mind, this is where the racketeering and RICO comes in. You are not allowed to hold somebody's career over their head because they know something illegal about you. That's part of the whole, not RICO, that's not what it is. Criminal enterprise. That's when it comes into being a criminal enterprise, when you are doing things like that. They said something very particular where Cassie had just gotten beat up by Diddy, and she's sitting in her room, and I guess she was getting ready to leave or something, and the bodyguard comes in and apparently says, you can't leave, it's time to ice your face. So that's showing that a employee of Diddy knew the schedule for the ice her face, meaning he knew something bad had happened and knew that it was a part of his job and his paycheck to take care of her and make sure these certain things happen. Yeah. They had Cassie flying around, hiring escorts, which again, that is sex trafficking. And also, I think it comes into the criminal enterprise myself. When you think about it, is Cassie was hired to be an artist. That artistry stuff never happened, but now she's being paid.
Yeah, one album.
With that one song. Mm-hmm, that one album with that. No, two, Official Girl, whatever. I don't care about none of this. But instead of being an artist, she's now being paid to be his girlfriend and being paid to fly around, have sex, hire escorts. Again, that's a criminal enterprise, guys. That's not that's not how any of this should work. So give me your feedback. I know you're far removed, but
my feedback is that it's as a kid, I was kind of a bury my head in the sand type of kid. I'm not gonna lie. When stuff was really, really like bad, I would rather just go take a nap. And this is kind of my mindset with this thing. I'm taking a nap on this Diddy thing. It is so bad. It is so bad that Trey talking about there was something about in the stuff about reading about swords and just craziness. And I
Yes.
just and I just for me to fathom people who are like that are in this world that are that disgusting. It's hard for me to deal with. So I'm going to sit back and wait for the end when he's going to spend the rest of his days in jail.
Well, here's the part.
Is where we should be going with this.
Here's the part I think you can jump in on.
Hmm.
Is the fact that social media is now saying that she is also culpable in what happened to the escorts and the hiring and this and that and what happened to herself. And they are now blaming her. There are black men who are saying, oh, there's actually a black producer who worked with Diddy and worked on Cassie's album and was like, she knew she wasn't getting no album. She knew she wasn't getting no album. I mean, she knew what it was. She was just with him because he was rich. Da 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 da. There are other men who are just like, oh, her husband put her up to this. Alex Fine. There's the, oh, well, she could get away. And as a man, how do you feel about them say, oh, okay, he's turning around? It
No,
makes me
I'm
nervous.
listening to you. I'm listening to you. Go ahead. As a man, ask your question.
As a man and also a father of daughters,
Yeah.
and your real sister, your adopted sister, how does it
Yeah.
make you feel when men are with proof are saying things like this?
I think they're trash. I think that people who are going about of their way to defend Diddy and this behavior, it just they're trash. And I'm not real big to use that term. I think that's a new internet term, and everybody likes to throw that out there. But you know, this is disgusting. And to think that this is something that the entertainment industry is known for doing, where they control people in such a way, and it's almost like it feels and moves like slave labor. Um, you know, I don't think there's going to be any way. Because here's the thing: I remember when the Cassie tape came out, and Diddy went to the internet, and he immediately was apologizing, and made no excuse. So he can't come back now and say, hey, I didn't do it. You've already apologized, about what you did. And then you're starting to see, I'll Be Sure now. I'll Be Sure has got a book he's got coming out, and
I'm
he's
so
going to be
tired of
telling
him.
this story. And and so now people are saying, okay, he's going to be behind bars. His money may or may not be able to touch me, but at this point, at 50 something years old, I need to tell my story and say, hey, Albie's probably gonna profit from it, and maybe that can help maintain him. But at this point, it's really about getting it out there. So to answer your question, I think it's gross. I think it's disgusting. I think anybody that comes out and tries to make excuses for what this man did to her, and we're just this is just the beginning. I'm assuming there's gonna be more. The Danity Kane
Oh, this is
woman who,
this is an 8-week trial, and we are
yeah,
on day 11. So we still have a
yeah,
lot more witnesses that are coming up, and I don't even know how the defense is going to what the defense is going to present in their case. But
yeah,
there's a lot more to go. And again, I think people really, really need to understand sex trafficking victims more, abuse victims more, domestic violence victims more. And a lot of these people just don't understand it. They just think, oh, well, she left this one time. Why she come back? Most domestic violence victims, it takes them 7 times to leave. And we
right.
hear about it all the time, even in people we know, where we know a girl is getting beat up. And we're all like, you have to leave. You're not safe. She's like, I'm going to leave. I'm going to leave. Next thing you know, I went back. He said it was going to be better. He's getting therapy. It's a this, it's a that. And all you can do is go, all right, well, okay, cool. That's okay. I
It's
see.
on you, and as a father of daughters, and I look at this thing, and I just and I feel terrible for people who can't get themselves out of these type of situations mentally, emotionally, whatever it keeps them tied to those situations. And it's just shameful. But what else you got on this drop? What else we gonna talk about as far as
So
this
let's
trial
keep
goes?
it with ain't crap Negroes. Let's go DDG. So DDG and excuse me, Halle Bailey has now filed and was granted a restraining order and a primary custody against DDG. DDG is not allowed to speak about her at all whatsoever on his podcast, anything related to her. What do you think this Negro did? He got all of his little podcast homeboy kid friends to talk bad about her on the platform. There is actually proof of him going into her home without her there, taking a picture of her bed that was messy, and him texting her, "Oh, I see what you want. I see what you about." He had broken into her home on 2 occasions. One of those times is when she was sick and the baby was sick. He's abused her. And now people, again, just like they're doing Cassie, like, oh, she's just a bitter baby's mama. It can never be that these men have done this. That's the part I think that annoys me the most. It can never be that these men have done this. R. Kelly didn't do it. Bill Cosby didn't do it. Diddy didn't do it, or there's a reason why he did it. DDG didn't do it. So are we literally saying that black men don't do any of these bad things? Black men don't cheat. Black men don't abuse.
I got to stop you there because this ain't about black men as a whole. So, and that's what always, one of the most annoying terms I hear in the world is everybody this, everybody that. You know, don't nobody know about Caitlin Reese, don't know Angel Reese, don't nobody know about X or Y or Z. This is not all black men. This is this kid, DDG, and the unfortunate thing about social media connects tribes of people in greatness and in other things. And so there's a bunch of incels out here who with faceless memes on it, and they're talking about yeah, she deserved it and blah 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 blah. You sitting up in your mama basement somewhere, you troll. You know what I mean? The heck with you. And so yeah, this is and I don't know as much about this story either about DDG and this is a younger generation. These are my kids' age, right? And so, but what I do know is that the situations with when you have children in these type of relationships, you're asking for smoke, period. And then when you got it, this is a situation where these people don't know how to be private. And so they're living this stuff out loud. They're letting everybody see the drama that's unfolding. And what are they, 22, 3, 4 years old, possibly?
But that's the problem. DDG has gone out of his way, and we talked about this before. He online like she won't let me see my son and this and that. She has not said a word about their relationship before they had the baby to now. She said nothing. The most we know she's done is gone to the court and filed for a restraining order. She has not gone online, but he has consistently riled up his supporters and fans to look at her like she's this awful person who won't let him see his child, which in reality, we really don't know. She could have been over there.
We don't know.
Huh?
We don't know.
Right. We don't. But him coming online acting like it's all her and he's done nothing wrong and she won't let me see my kid and this and that. To me, it makes him look bad.
Well, sure, it makes him look bad, especially if she's not saying anything in response. If she's quiet, if she's keeping it, well, she has the leverage. If she has the child and he's not allowed to see that child, she has the leverage, without a doubt. Now, whether or not he deserves to not see that child, we don't know. We don't know. And that's something that the courts will decide. And that's the part that, I will always be somewhat of an advocate for fathers because of what I went through personally. Is a person.
Black men go to court. Yeah. Huh? Black men go to court. You can go to court. You can go to court.
That's not always a great solution. But go ahead.
It's not always. It's better than being like, oh well, she wouldn't let me see him, so I was just not gonna see him no more. Did you do that when it happened with your daughter when she was tripping? Is that what you did?
No, but it was hell. It was hell to get to. It was hell to go down to the airport waiting for my child to come off when I'm thinking she's supposed to arrive and I'm calling the airport and they're telling me your child is not on that plane. Right? It's hell to drive to Virginia and get there and I'm standing. Yeah. So those situations are real. Now, the difference between my situation, everybody's situation is different, but the challenge is that when you go into these courts, you're at the mercy of someone who 9 times out of 10 don't give a shit about you. Yeah. And they really just want to run you through the system. And a lot of times in my personal situation, the judges were always like, they kind of treat us like y'all just these N-words who don't know how to act anyway. So y'all just going to deal with us and we're going to determine how things are going to rock and roll. So,
and maybe I don't from a different perspective because I have 3 men in my life who all have custody of their children.
Yeah.
And they went through the courts and wasn't the best, but they ended up winning. Omar won custody of Devin. My brother won custody of his daughter. And so I know men do it. I know it can be done. Is it fun? No, but when is going to court ever going to be fun? Ever?
Well, my perspective is that we shouldn't have to go to court. We should be adults and you should make decisions that are best for the child, right? My daughter at 15 made the decision on her own. She said, I want to be with you, Pops. That's what I want to do. And I told her in that moment, I said, hey, okay, are I'm going to give you a month to really, is this what you really want? Because it's going to be a little bit of a challenge. It's going to be a fight. And she did. And here it is 10 years later, and she's graduated from college and she's now whatever. So, and so,
Quick question
yeah,
about that. Does Ron
yeah,
have a relationship with her mom?
she does.
Okay. I just didn't
Mhm.
know if Saran was like, I want to go live with him because you're nuts and I don't want to. Because, one of my brother's
Mhm.
kids does not, actually, a couple of my brother's kids, they don't have a relationship with their mothers at all. Like, at all. They only have a relationship with my brother now because of stuff
Yeah.
that's said and done.
Well, I'm not going to talk about a lot of that on this podcast.
Of course.
You're right. But yeah, she has a relationship with her mother. Yes, she
Great.
does.
Cool.
And so, but at this point, yeah, like I said, we are adults. Everybody's adults now. You know what I mean? We're at this point in that situation. In this situation, you're talking about DDG. You're talking about this young lady. I always want to
Haley
say
Bailey.
Halle Berry. It just always Barry
Haley
always
Bailey.
rolls off my mouth after. But it's Chloe and Halle. What's your last names?
Bailey.
Oh,
Holly
so it's
Bailey.
Bailey and Barry. That's why it always in my
That's
mind. I
why.
always
Yeah.
put them two together. Anyway, they got a long way to go. This child can't be what, maybe 2 years old.
No, the child just turned one.
Oh my
The baby just
god.
turned one. And
They
I'm
they
laughing because it's so crazy to me. I'm always going to be a pro advocate for marriage. Always,
hmm
always, always.
Sure.
Because you end up in a situation like this where one, you don't know each other. Y'all don't really like each other outside of the bedroom, and then you have a baby, and now you're like, oh, I wonder why this didn't work, blah blah blah. That's why, like, you didn't really build a foundation to then bring a baby into your situation. So I'm always going to be a foundation for marriage so that stuff like this doesn't happen.
Yeah.
I'm also wish DDG would grow up. I wish they would take all the podcast mics away except for like ours and Native Podland and Pod Save America and Joe Budden. But all these little boys who and all these little kids and all these dating podcasts, aren't you over it? All the dating podcasts and the panels and the stuff and the
I
dear
don't pay no
wifey.
attention. What's so interesting too, which I did some research here recently. The podcast market is a lot more male than I realized. It is a huge male driven uh, a deal, and so because in a lot of other mediums they don't really give men the time of day. So these are the platforms that seem to get the biggest deal. So all right, anyway, I'm about to throw you a curveball
Cool.
because we forgot to bring this up because I kind of want to see your head explode. Um, so what are we going to do about this?
Oh God.
All right, for people who don't know, this is the new president of Florida A&M, Marva Johnson. Look like she's an attorney. A lot of my FAMU friends, including one that's in the screen, who is a FAMU graduate. Go ahead and give us your background on Marva Johnson, which many people call her MAGA Marva, and how the FAMU community is feeling about her now being the president of FAMU.
The FAMU community is pissed, and I use that word for a reason. We have alumni. We have very famous alumni from FAM. People tend to forget that, but we do. All of them are upset. This woman does not represent FAMU core values at all whatsoever. A lot of people don't think she has any of the best interests of FAM at heart. And more importantly, if we're just looking at brass tacks, she doesn't have any educational leadership.
Right.
It's great. She's a lawyer, she's educated, but just she's rubbing people the extreme wrong way. People didn't even want her voted in. I mean, her first act of being voted in is saying that she wants a $750,000 salary. The normal salary for an HBCU president is like $400,000 or between $200,000 and $400,000 reasonable. She
hmm
wants $750,000,
And she gonna get it.
and she is going to get it, but where does that leave? I don't think this is going to be a good thing for the university, and people really are upset. There is not one person that's like, oh, this is great, oh, this will be fine. No, everybody, if you read these, I mean, well, Packard is upset.
Sure.
um I'm trying to think of other people who are famous, but it's just all these people, all of these
We talked
FAMU
about
alumni.
Roy Wood. We talked about our
Roy
friend
Jr.
Chuck
Yes,
Hobbs. Who's a journalist and attorney and someone. And so you look at this situation, and we talk about this. This is an education for a lot of people. When we keep telling people that HBCUs are not, most of them are not private. These are state funded, state controlled institutions. And so when you look at the governor of Florida, Ron DeSantis, had the ability to um, appoint the people who were on this board who made this decision. It was an 8-4 decision to install this woman as president. And so you say to yourself, what options do we have? Protest, um, march. I wonder if DeSantis is up. First of all, he can't run again, so he's done in 2026, right? Is that
yes,
correct?
yes. He is
DeSantis is
that.
done in 2026.
Yes.
Is that an option that once he is no longer governor, if you get yourself a Democrat or a different person in place, that they may be able to change this? And I'm gonna go solo shot on this. I got to answer this call real quick.
No, it's not a problem. I feel like Florida. Once DeSantis is gone, I think Florida is also going to feel the wrath of angry constituents who thought that the Republicans were going to have their back and be supportive and this and that. We all make them, like they all make us believe. And now we're here and we're seeing that it's a lot of lies and a lot of garbage. So I think that there is an opportunity for a Democratic governor to come into place and overturn some things, change things around, and make things maybe not better, but honestly return to the status quo. Like, I never thought I would say this, but the returning to the status quo is a lot better than where we are now. There are a lot of red states and red cities, red blood, red Republican cities who are now seeing Black and Democratic people elected, because even the hardcore Republicans are like, nah, this is not what we voted for at all whatsoever. So
We'll
I do
see.
think that, huh?
We'll see. We'll see. I just
They got a Black mayor in Omaha, Nebraska. I
Omaha,
mean,
Nebraska is a kind of black city. It really
they
is.
haven't
Omaha and
had a
Tulsa.
Black.
Omaha, Nebraska, and Tulsa, Oklahoma are pretty black cities if you do the demographic research on them. You got to
And
think the
they have
race
been
would
blood
it.
red for
Huh?
years, for decades. They have
Well, the
been blood red.
state. That's the state. You know what I mean? But you're talking about the cities.
No, I'm talking about
Omaha.
the city. The city
Yeah.
of Omaha has been blood red at the mayor. The
Mm-hmm.
mayor that was in, and I'm
Mm-hmm.
hoping I'm saying the right city, she had been the mayor for 12 years, and
Mm-hmm.
they thought she was going to win hands down. And the community
Mm-hmm.
was like, no, before her, it has only been Republican mayors. This is their first
Mm-hmm.
Democratic mayor, I want to say like 36 years or something
Okay.
weird like
Okay. But I don't after what we just witnessed in
that.
2024, I don't trust anybody until I don't trust not only the people, but I don't trust the process until I see it work again. Because at this point, I just don't, all of a sudden, Mr. Doge, Mr. Tesla, he's giving up his post on Doge, and now he's going back and going back and being quiet like the puppet master. I don't trust any of this process, man. I just don't.
Well,
And
you
this
know, I just want to go
situation,
quiet.
with FAMU, with schools like Norfolk State, with schools like North Carolina A&T State, all these state-funded Mississippi Valley State, all these state-funded universities are, if it works in Florida, rest assured it's going to come to some other situations. And I don't know. I'm hoping upon hope that something is going to be worked out, that people are going to start to wake up. But in the education system, man, we're in the midst of a whew, it's wild right now. The way they want fewer people to be educated, fewer people to be smart, to be able to know how to deal with these situations. And I don't know how it's going to make it better.
And the only schools that are being allowed to do what they want to do, positive or negative, are private schools. If you want to pay for it, they will do well. My kids go to a private preschool. That school does Black History Month. They actually do it well, considering
Mm-hmm.
there is no banned books in the school. The kids bring home any book that they want. They do activities. But if in a year, they'll be going to public school. And God knows where that will be when it's time for Noah and Leela enter kindergarten, where
Correct.
certain things won't be taught and they won't be able to learn them, because now we're at the mercy of the states,
We're at
which
the
is
mercy of the state.
the
We're at the
problem.
mercy of
So
the state, and that's the part that we're really deep in some deep waters. And folks, it's so many people that are so asleep right now. When I start talking to them about what's going on, like you said, we started this show talking about Diddy, and all of this stuff that is going on, and Caitlin Reese and Angel Reese. We'll talk about that before the show is out. But the point being is that there's so many distractions out here that people are paying attention to. You know, the $400 million plane that Trump is accepting from Qatar. It's all a distraction. It's all a distraction while they're sitting back and they're changing the world. You know what they're talking about
From
now,
where?
huh?
From where? What's the
Q-
name of that place?
Qatar.
You mean Qatar?
It depends on who you ask.
Oh, okay. All
Qatar,
right.
Qatar, same
You
place,
say
$400 million
tomato,
plane.
I say tomato.
Right, right. So the bottom line is, they're trying to now change the designation. I think under the Social Security, where they're not going to no longer provide food aid for kids over the age of 8 years old. Those type of things are going on, and we're not paying any attention to it because
But
there's so
here's
many
the
other
thing.
distractions that are going on. Go ahead.
There are other distractions, but he's also mixing in some really good that a lot of us working class people
Mm.
appreciate in with a bunch of bad, and you can't have it one or the other, and that's what's making it so hard. For example, he is getting rid of lifetime Section 8 housing. You are moving forward, you'll only be allowed to be on Section 8 for 2 years. Once that 2 years is up, they are expecting you to have found a job and to be weaning off Section 8 and food stamps and so on and so forth. That is, which was always supposed to be the goal of the program. I did not realize with Section 8 housing that if you were a mom, you can pass that Section 8 housing onto your child. Did you know that was an option? I had to Google it. It's a thing you can do.
Okay.
But I'm for that. All these women out here getting thousands and thousand
That's
dollars in food.
confusing to me. Okay, so
Why?
you're saying that it's tied into, make sure I'm hearing you correctly.
Yeah,
You're saying that do you think it's good that they're weaning people off Section 8 after 2 years?
absolutely.
Okay.
1,000%.
Okay. So if you think it's good that they're weaning people off Section 8 after 2 years, but then you also think it's good that people can wheel down or give Section 8 housing to their kids.
I think it's bad too. Oh, let me explain what I'm saying. What I'm saying is you have to take the good with the bad. What I'm
Hmm.
saying is inside the bill he's trying to pass,
Hmm.
he's also trying to get rid of Medicaid while he's also trying to put a limit on how you can be on Section 8 housing. So one thing a lot of people agree with, like, yeah, people shouldn't be on lifetime Section 8 housing, but please don't get rid of Medicaid for people who need it. Like that, you can't just get rid of everything. That doesn't make any sense. But that is what he is attempting to do.
So here's the hustle. And I say, I've said and I admit that I believe Trump is one of the most brilliant communicators that we've ever known. Because you just explained why people, in part, an example of why people are confused on how they feel about Trump and how he moves. Because
Yep.
we as minorities, we're not nearly as confused as someone who might be a well-meaning independent who sits in the middle and says, well, no, people shouldn't be able to sit on Section 8 for 2 years. But at the same time, the communities of Section 8 there are very limited opportunities. They're not educating them. The jobs are not plentiful. There may or may not be transportation for that person to leave that area to go get a job outside of that area. There's so many different factors that have people living in those situations. I don't think most people want to live on the system are there people who live in the system?
My cousins
Absolutely.
do. My
Absolutely.
cousins do in Miami.
And I'm not saying that there aren't people, but I don't think the mass majority of people who have been trained like this and they've seen 2 and 3 generations and this is all they know. And now you're
Mhm.
going to tell them, now you got 2 years to find something else. And I'm like, okay, there are no housing projects anymore, right? The housing projects have pretty much all been destroyed, right? And so
Yeah.
now you're trying to figure out where these people are going to go. And that's the part that I struggle with this administration is that they make these arbitrary decisions and they just say people can figure it out. Well, we haven't trained people to figure it out, and we're cutting education out here to help them. There's no trade schools. We killed all the trade schools. People don't know how to do nothing, right? And so now, but you expecting them to, what, they gonna make enough money at $12, $15 an hour at McDonald's, where there's a doggone screen for people to tap to order now? It's wild.
I mean,
It's
I
wild.
get that part too, but then I also get annoyed when I see people who are not working, who are on benefits, who get thousands of dollars back in income tax, and I owe money to the government even though I've done what I'm supposed to do. Like, how does that work? How does someone who's not
But do you
working?
understand how taxes work, right? Taxes, and I give and kudos to my brother Richie Yotes. He broke this down to me about 10 years ago, and it was like bing. Taxes is just the government borrowing money from us. That's all it is. They take money out of our check and they put it somewhere and let it grow interest, and they tell you, oh, you have to prove how many write-offs you have and reason why you're supposed to give you your money back. The government is borrowing money from us, right? And that's the reason why rich people don't want to pay any taxes, because they feel like, I don't need to give you any taxes. I'm putting taxes into the system in other ways. I'm buying a whole bunch of shit, and I'm paying the extra taxes in those areas. So I don't want to have to pay income tax in addition to that. That's what the rich people want to do. That's why they cut income taxes out. And
But
so, go ahead.
why is someone who's not contributing into this getting so much money back?
They're not. You act like they're getting rich off this stuff. Let's keep it real. Like, if someone is making $20,000 a year, and $4,000 or $5,000 of that is taken from them in income tax, and then they get $1,000 back out of that.
No, they get way. Mike, here's why I know this, because again, my cousin's gotten a huge beef over it. Was a huge thing in our family about it. But one of my cousins who has multiple kids, not working, whatever, she gets back about $8,000 back in income tax. Throughout the year, she also gets food stamps. She gets free housing. She gets all of these benefits, all this stuff, and she gets money back from the government. For what? What is she
So you
contributing
saying
to
she
get all
get
that money back?
$8,000 and she doesn't have it? She doesn't do anything.
No, she does not do anything. She does, and she was annoyed with my other cousin because my other cousin was taking care of one of her kids she couldn't take care of, different from the 8 she already had. And she was like, "Well, I want that kid back to claim on my taxes so I can get more money back."
I can't refute that because I don't know those situations. Those situations aren't a reality for me. But I have lived amongst, and we've lived amongst those people our entire lives, is my mindset.
Sure.
And I won't say I don't care, because I know, here's the thing. Do I want that person who is living off the system to have nothing, and then they're looking for other ways to make a living, and they're trying to hit people over the head, and they're trying to rob people in the streets to get it done? I'd rather give them a few coins to keep them in the house and let them figure it out than to give them nothing and turn this into a world of anarchy. But that's the progressive liberal in me, and I get it. People need to pull themselves up and work for it, and they need to. But at the same time, we don't need to just throw people out in the street and say you go figure it out. So,
And I'm not even talking about that.
yeah.
But as long if you've been, they're just not telling people now that you can't be on it. But we could go into this forever and ever. I'm just
No,
saying, I agree
it's
with that.
it's a good conversation. Go ahead, finish your
No,
thought.
what I'm saying is, like, a lot of people who are on Section 8 housing right now, or on HUD housing, they're saying you have 2 years from now. If you have been on it for years and years and years, what were you doing for those years and years you were on it? What were you doing?
I don't disagree. I don't disagree with, but that's the system that we live in. The system has kept so many people in the struggle for so long that they don't know how to get out of the struggle. And do I agree that they need to figure it out? But we need to also help them. We need to train them and help them to figure it out, because a lot of people have no clue. They have no idea what to do.
And there are state programs to do this. For example, if you were on Social Security,
Hmm.
or you're on any kind of state benefits, you have access to vocational rehab. Why do I know this? Because my kid is on Medicaid and he is on Social Security. So he has access to vocational rehab, where they will train you for free. You don't have to pay anything. They will put you in a vocational program to train you to get a job. Then they will help place you into a job.
Do you
Did
think those
anybody
type of programs are going to survive this administration?
Oh, I have
At the
no
same
idea.
time that they say you got 2 years to figure this out, do you think that funding is going to survive this administration?
No idea. I couldn't even. I do not know. I'm hoping it does, because Devin's going to enter it soon, and I'm hoping that it's there to stay because he needs it, and it's to support people like him. But again, that's the same thing. I support these kind of changes because I see the abuses of Section 8 and food stamps and blah 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 blah. But then you also got to think about the people who do actually need to be on it, because there are special needs adults who do get Section 8 housing because
Mm-hmm.
they need it, because their
Mm-hmm.
job is not giving them that much money. It's not.
Mm-hmm.
They're really just a lot of special needs adults. What I've seen is they're getting a job to feel productive and get out of the
Mm-hmm.
house. They're not making some huge amount of money,
Mm-hmm.
but they just can't be in the house all day just wasting away. So they go get jobs and they work. So they need assistance. They need the food stamps or whatever. That makes sense to me. But a
Mm-hmm.
grown, able-bodied adult doesn't make sense to me.
No, I
But
agree there.
Trump is sweeping both of them out of the way and saying, "No, all
Correct.
you guys are bunched together. Like everybody go this way."
Correct.
That's not right.
Correct. And that's where there's no thought going on with this. It is a sweeping indictment. It's a sweeping deal with this. So anyway, all right, let's move on. The WNBA just kicked back off this past weekend, and we're back at it where um, they're selling the WNBA. They're selling interest in this league by selling this rivalry, and it's unfortunate how they're selling this thing. And so now you have, this situation with a WNBA investigator alleged hateful fan comments directed at Angel Reese. What happened? It was a basketball game this past weekend. They started off the season with these two young ladies. They had them play each other, which would be Angel Reese and Caitlin Clark. And it was a foul. Is what it is. Angel
They're
Reese
calling
jumped
it a
up.
flagrant foul. Can you tell me
Huh?
where the flagrant part happened? The flagrant foul?
It was a flagrant foul, but it doesn't make it. It wasn't like life ending, life threatening type of situation. It sure was a flagrant foul. Um,
No, it wasn't.
huh?
It really wasn't.
It was, but that's not
Okay,
even the point.
it's not. I'm just
It's
saying.
because if you watch the play, Angel bumped another player to get the rebound, and you know what, and Caitlin was real slick. Everybody looked at the front part, what she did with her hand, with the front foul, but she actually pushed her in the back while she was fouling. And so it's like it's basketball, it's slickness. And so then she throws away oh, I didn't do anything. Yes, you did, but it's fine. The problem that I have with this situation and continues to escalate is arenas are set up like gladiator pits, right? They're there for
Yeah,
entertainment.
yeah.
Everybody is there. I went to one game and Reese was not there. I went to see Caitlin play the Dream last year. Great basketball player. I'm more impressed with her court vision. Her shooting is what it is, but her court vision, she's a great basketball player. But you felt the energy in that room, and you can really tell that this racial animus is there. This past
Oh,
weekend,
yeah.
we played a team from Mississippi, bunch of white girls in Mississippi, and my buddy, his daughter plays on our team. He's from Harlem. Shout out to my man Avila. And he came and said, yo, I had to move from over there. The energy over there was wild. And I said, yeah, you're in the deep south, brother. We're in Birmingham, Alabama, playing a team from Mississippi of all white girls. And you could just see the red faces and the venom that and we ended up beating them, and there was a few tense moments in the game. And I think this situation with Caitlin is fueling this even in youth sports, because now you got a bunch of people who didn't give a damn about women's basketball 2 years ago are now just these super fans of Caitlin Clark. And so I can imagine with reason why that they're talking about doing these investigations is because when it's all said and done, there's a lot of nastiness that is going on out there in these crowds. And if I'm Angel Reese, how much can you control your emotion if you're constantly being attacked from not only in the arena but online, constantly, and then stuff like that getting fouled by Caitlin is going to send you over the edge.
And here's the worst part, and this is part I think is the worst.
Yeah.
Nor Angel or Caitlin is actually doing anything wrong
Right.
to fuel this.
Right.
These two women are just playing basketball.
They're just playing
Caitlin
ball.
is not out here talking crap about Angel.
Mm-mm.
Angel really don't say nothing about Caitlin unless something like this happens. None of these two women are doing anything. It is the fans that have made it into this racial nasty thing that it should have never been.
Right.
And I feel bad for both of these women because, I will pick sides, different things. I think Caitlyn, you know, it can be a arrogant little, stiff faced little boy. And I think Angel Reese can be a weirdo looking like Sid from Ice Age, and don't nobody want to deal with your crap. They both have their flaws and they both have their greatness. But the
Right.
racism is strictly the fans, and the WNBA, instead of saying y'all gotta stop, they're just like, well, at least people are watching the games now. So,
And that's what they care. They're driving eyeballs. These are 22, 23, 24-year-old kids, right? Just learning how to be adults. Angel Reese, straight out of Baltimore. This young lady, even she's from the suburbs, she still has grown up in this game, and they've competed against each other for the better part of 10 years. Because the way the AAU system is now, these young ladies have been competing against each other in the AAU system similar to where we were last weekend. And so they know each other. They're competing. They're basketball players. They're competitive. And the fact that you can go into these comments on what I'm looking at right now, and some of the stuff that we'll see in these comments is so disgusting. The things that these internet trolls will say about these people. And I say to myself, you know what, man, sometimes you just got to turn this crap off but I just feel for Caitlyn because she has a lot of pressure, but I certainly don't feel for her as much as I feel for Angel Reese. Because when it's all said and done, it is her responsibility to be composed. Because they are cheering her on. And one thing about black folks, we're not gonna sit out here and be attacking that child, that woman, young woman, as in Caitlin Clark at every turn when she comes to an arena. If she can hoop, we're gonna give her flowers in saying she can hoop. All I hear about with I think that last game, Caitlin had a triple double against Chicago, but Reese had something like 7, 12, and about 17 rebounds. She had a hell of a game as well. And then they want to attack how she got the rebounds. They want to attack everything about her. So this situation, I don't know how long this is going to last. I'm looking for the Juju Watkins of the world when she hits the league and some of the other players. But I don't know. This seems like this is going to become a way of life to be an WNBA fan.
I wish Angel or Caitlyn had a big sister, had two big sisters, and to be like the big sister calling the other girls, but like, listen, this is getting bad. We're gonna sit these two fools down. We're gonna have a conversation. At least the PR teams, I feel like, should be doing this. Like, hey guys, there is an opportunity to make this work, but this isn't it. Then we need to find a way to make this work. And again, I know Caitlyn and Angel don't actually hate each other. That's another thing people keep forgetting.
No, they don't hate each other. They're competing against each other. And then for RG3 to come out and say what he said, where RG3 used
I got that pulled up right now.
Yeah, go ahead and pull it up. You got it on your screen. So if for RG3 to say what he said, and then that brings into the other element of RG3 as a black man with a black mother, and yeah, okay, sure,
Wait, where's the original? I'm trying to find his original statement.
It's out there, and so the point being, for RG3, go ahead.
Just so you know what's going on now on Twitter, because it's trending right now, because Ryan Clark responded, and Ryan Clark more responded to the fact that you got your white wife in the background laughing and chilling in the back as you denigrate this black woman. It's pathetic. And now RG3 is like, why are you attacking my family? And it's like, RG3, you're a scum. Like, you're just a scumbag. And that's why they're attacking your family. Like, can you hear my screen?
I cannot. Let me see if I got the right one with RG312. All right. I'm gonna play I'm gonna play Ryan's clip here.
Let me see. Play Ryan's clip.
Let me see if I can find it because I'm on his page. Is this it? Matter of fact, see if you can go on Ryan's page. I'm trying to find which one of them it is because it was Ryan Clark is doing an excellent job right now. I think this might be it. He's doing an excellent job right now.
But Angel Reese did hate. He said you could see the hate on her face for Caitlin Clark. I'm not really sure when we moved in to being able to read the expressions of a person and know their intent, know their character, know their perspective. But he does understand hate because I think he also understands the hate of self. when you look at the play, which is all we can speak to as professionals, all we can speak to as analysts, Angel Reese pushed one of her teammates. Caitlin Clark had a hard foul, which is part of basketball. I feel like it was assessed correctly. And Angel Reese's reaction is the sort of reaction you get in a situation when you feel like you took an intentionally hard foul. That's competitiveness. That's rivalry. That's not hate. And so now, though, when RG3 jumps on to the hate train or to the angry train, and now follows along with what we saw from Keith Olbermann, what we saw from Dave Portnoy, as they poured on to Angel Reese to make her the villain in Caitlin Clark's heroic or hero story. The one thing we know about RG3 is he's not having conversation at his home about what black women have to endure in this country, about what young black women and athletes like Angel Reese have had to deal with being on the opposite side of Caitlin Clark's rise and ascension to stardom. No, when you look at it, I think A'ja Wilson is the face of the league. A'ja Wilson is the best player in the league. Caitlin Clark is the most important player in the WMBA. And a ton of her fandom has come along with some racial bias or some racial pieces to why people love her so much. And so now, if you're RG3, when is the last time within your household you've had a conversation about what she's dealing with? You haven't been able to do that because in both of your marriages, you've been married to white women. You haven't had opportunities to have those conversations to educate you on what they're feeling, what black women deal with, what they're seeing when they think of a young Angel Reese. And the whole time that he's mimicking Angel Reese and bobbing his head and moving his neck while he's doing this whole piece, his wife is in the back amening and clapping. And so to me, it's just another situation that now this young lady has to deal with. When I worked with RG3, he would make all of these sort of corny jokes about milk and how much he loved it and how important it was. And he always points out on social media the color of his wife's skin, as if the color of her skin is what makes her special, as if the color of her skin is what makes her a good wife. I've met the lady, I've had a conversation with her. I think she's more than that. But it also leads to what black women deal with a lot from black men who have chose to date or marry outside of their race. They always feel like they have to go the extra mile to prop up the woman that they're married or the woman that they're with over black women by denigrating black women. I feel like we should have an opportunity to move past that and understand that Angel Reese can be great in her own right, as Caitlin Clark is as well. Caitlin Clark is a likable and lovable superstar. She pays homage to the stars of the past. She pays homage to the black women that have come before her. And now she is carrying the mantle forward. So there's no need to pin those two against each other and paint them based on stereotypical tropes. And I think this is what I like RG3 to know, that no matter how much he continues to echo the microaggressions of racists, he'll be no less black than me.
Yeah, that was a really, really insightful segment there that Ryan.
And this has been the problem with RG3 since he came into the league, right?
Well, you know,
got that TikTok channel with his wife where he's making inappropriate jokes and comments about her being white and loving white women. I can pull up some of those TikToks they used to do, and people were like, "Dude, what are you doing? Like, it's great. You're married to a white woman, but what? Why was this necessary?"
Well, see, here's the thing, and I want to play advocate to a degree. And here's why: because there's people that's going to watch this segment. They're going to say, "Well, I'm white and I'm proud and I love my white wife and blah blah." And brother, love who you love. But as Ryan just communicated, you don't have to denigrate black women in order to love who you love. And that's the problem we're running into with a lot of these situations. And the whole situation with RG3 is that for him to even use the word hate and say that Caitlin, I mean that Angel Reese hates Caitlin Clark, and it's obvious, and then go into this whole diatribe, and like you said, you have this other history of him going out of his way to be very supportive of white women. You look at it and say, okay, brother, you've made this about race more than Caitlin Clark has made this about race. You are in here supporting because the people you're doing business with, the people that you're living your life with, they're probably sitting around and kikiing, sitting, smoking cigars and drinking wine and talking about, all the denigrating things that they use to describe Angel Reese. And you're out here puppeting it. Because if you look at the video, Ryan, of RG3, his wife is back there and she's back there applauding and kikiing and everything as this conversation is going on. And my thing is,
here it is. I have the original video.
where you got it in the chat, or are you going to pull it up yourself? All right, cool. All right, I'll get your screen up. Let's see, but I can't hear your audio, just so you know right now.
Oh.
All right, just drop it in the chat to me, and I'll pull it up. Okay. No problem. Drop it in the chat to me because we want to give let's give RG3 his opportunity to speak his mind.
His wife sitting in the background, the way she's sitting. Remember when old girl got in trouble for sitting on the couch in the White House? Who was that? Oh my gosh, alternative facts lady.
Yeah,
remember that?
It's just Twitter again. You know how I am about Twitter.
Just open it. It's all we got. All we got.
By Alyssa Thomas of the Connecticut Sun. Y'all remember that? She got. So where was this type of reaction last year? When Angel Reese got chokeslammed by Alyssa Thomas of the Connecticut Sun. Y'all remember that? She got fouled so hard, they kicked Leah Thomas out the game with a flagrant 2 foul. What did Angel Reese do? Nothing. She didn't get up and try to swing on her. You know why? The reaction was different because of who did it. And there is a lot of history there with Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese. You guys remember last year when Angel Reese celebrated Kennedy Carter getting that flagrant foul on the hip check against Caitlin Clark? You remember that? On the sideline, just, yeah, baby, get her, you get her. Who celebrates like that for a flagrant foul on another player if they don't dislike that player? Okay, you want some more evidence? Here's some more evidence. Remember last year when they were talking about who gets the credit for the expansion and the eyeballs and the popularity boost of women's basketball? Not just the WMBA, but women's basketball in general, because of the spike in the women's NCAA tournament and WMBA viewership. A lot of people were attributing that to Caitlin Clark, and rightfully so. This is what Angel Reese had to say, and I quote, "People are talking about women's basketball. You never would think they'd be talking about women's basketball."
Watch his neck. That's his black woman trope. That's his. Yeah, there you go. I'm talking like a black woman.
I'll take the bad guy role, and I'll continue to take that on to be that for my teammates. I know I'll go down in history. I'll look back in 20 years and be like, the reason we're watching women's basketball is not just because of one person. It's because of me, too. I want y'all to realize that. I've heard a lot of people say that
and that's the truth.
The villain. Did you not just hear herself call herself the bad guy? She called herself the villain. I'm not making her the villain. She's making herself the villain.
He's the worst.
So where was this type of reaction?
Yeah, and it's so many things to unpack in what he just talked about. First of all, his call himself imitating black women trash. Yes, if we go back to the image of Angel Reese tapping her finger, talking about the ring that she had received, which actually was a mimic of something that Caitlin had done the prior game, and all of that. That part was the mimic that Caitlin Clark had done. Everybody seems to forget about that part. Caitlin Clark was trolling. Second thing, RG3 was a good athlete. He was a quarter. Yes, he was. There's no question about that. His career was ruined by a coach who had him playing on a bad knee and ruined his career. But he was a good athlete. For him to say that when you're in a competitive situation that you might not support your teammate when they might do something that might be marginal or they might be competitive in the moment. Or who claps when somebody does a flagrant foul? Who claps when a quarterback is blindsided and it gets an amazing sack that is flagged later for being a flagrant play. It happens in NFL all the time. So that's a bunch of bull crap, RG3. You're being a hypocrite. And so when you start talking about the villain stuff, yeah, the reason why people love the WMBA more now than they did 2 years ago is a combination of Angel Reese being projected as the villain and Caitlin Clark being an amazing athlete. And we've said on this show many a times, she's like the soccer mom that can hoop. The girl can hoop. No ifs, ands, buts about it. But there's a whole lot of women. Paige Buchers can hoop.
Soccer moms are hot these days, and Caitlin Clark.
Caitlin Clark is not the only one, but it was a perfect storm.
She's not, but she.
Who's what? What?
Oh, not her. No. Her attractiveness, her ugliness, not her basketball.
Her basketball skills are
fine. Soccer moms are hot now. Hi, and Caitlin Clark is not one of us.
Well, but anyway, my point is, this has been marketing to the worst degree. It is we have an appetite. The same people who love Donald Trump love to troll Angel Reese on a nightly basis. And so I don't know how long this is going to last. I'm hoping that that we get on the other side of this thing. But RG3 trash, buddy. And kudos to Ryan Clark for bringing the smoke. And so we'll see how
really
RG3 will respond.
Follow up to this. Sage Steele, you calling Ryan Clark. I know you didn't. Let me just pull up her exact tweet because I have a problem with Sage. It's the same problem I have with Candace Owens. You can be Republican, you can be conservative, and also be proud to be Black.
Mm-hmm.
I have seen time after time these women. Every time there is a Black person who stands out, who's honest, who's opinionated, it's why are they always talking? They're so divisive. They're this, they're that, they're that. A white person stands up for themselves. Oh, they're being strong. Like, if you don't like being Black, say you don't like being Black. But like her comment about Ryan Clark is another classist, divisive, gross, unnecessary comment from Ryan Clark. But it's par for the course. What should we expect? Nothing else. Shameless. And then when you go to her page, it's all of her. She's downing Abby Phillips on MSNBC and boosting up Aaron McQuire and Scott. She's boosting up Scott Jennings. She's boosting up Rob Schneider. Like, you're boosting up all of these white people. Let's scroll down. Is she boosting up one Black person? One.
That's
one
not who, here's the thing. If that's who she chooses, if that's her life, then let it be your life. But for you to sit out here and you want to call, what does she have to say about the Nike ad? I'm sure she's got an issue with that too, right? Because that was an amazing ad that was done, and your screen is up just so you know.
Well, I mean, this is a duplicate of she stole this from somebody else. So there's
that's Malia. Malia's saying so that's her. So she's not supportive of this amazing ad that was done. She wants to act like it was plagiarism. Is that the position that she has there?
I didn't even see this from here. I had seen this from other filmmakers saying that this was a duplicate of this other girl's short film, that this was plagiarized.
And so is it
but
okay?
Again, this is something negative. This is, again, you're highlighting something negative.
Right.
I don't know what she's doing in this corner. Another white couple, whatever, great. More white people, Meghan McCain, boosting them up, retweeting. Have you seen one Black person that is not her on her timeline that she's boosting up?
I don't pay any attention to Sage Steele because she's decided who she is. She took the conservative position. It got her booted off of ESPN. And so now, that's the thing about a lot of these folks, man. They get to this point where they said, okay, now I have to figure out how to survive. And I'm going to go all in on this position that I have. And it is that, Black people don't like me. Black people don't love me. I don't really care about them either. So now I'm going to go all in and be the next Omarosa. Well, here's the thing about Omarosa. It don't last long. Once they done with you, they done with you.
And here's the thing I wish, and this has been my dream forever. Why can't there be a conservative? Well, Mia Love was the only one, and she passed away, who was proud to be a Black woman, but also conservative.
Mia Love from Utah?
Both. Yes, the one who died of brain cancer.
I didn't know. When did she pass away?
2 months ago.
Oh,
2 or 3
I didn't
months
know that.
ago.
Okay.
Yeah, she passed away. But there are Black conservative women. Condoleezza Rice.
Right.
Condoleezza was proud to be Black, very proud to be Black.
Sure.
And she went about the BS. But now we have representation like
Colin
Candace
Powell
Owens.
was a Republican. It's not.
Colin Powell.
Right.
Oh, the head of the RNC. Who? Well, he don't.
Michael Steele, who's on MSNBC now. Yeah. And so the I've got friends, I got fraternity brothers who are conservatives, and some who've worked in government in different states and in a conservative position. I get the fiscal conservatism. I don't understand. I still have a problem with you working beside people who are systematically trying to make your family, your ancestors, your community struggle. Doesn't make sense to me, but I still love the brothers either way. But it's these vitriolic folks like who you just showed, the RG3s, the whatever Sage Steels, and I don't even know now where Candace Owens is. She seems to have gotten a little bit quieter, or they're not giving her a whole lot of airtime.
Because she's in an island all by herself. No, she's on an island by herself. She's not conservative. She's not Democratic.
Because they used all those black MAGA folks who fought so hard to get Trump into office. They have no more use for them.
But you know where she messed up? She didn't even mess up there. She messed up when she started calling Jewish people evil and Israel awful. That's when I was like, oh, they gonna get you.
He said they gonna get you. Ooh, girl, you done messed up now.
All right, that's just what it is. But before we hop off, tell me what you're watching.
Just watched the final episode for this season of Raising Kanan. I know you don't care. Very good for people who are watching it after 11 years of trying to figure out who Breeze was. It's this character that didn't have a face. They gave him a face in the season finale. So season 5 will be the last one for Raising Kanan. We watched. I sent it to you. Check your text. It was a new Netflix. Forever. Forever was excellent. If you guys have not seen Forever, have you seen it? Did you watch it yet?
Yeah, my mom said it was a lot of sex, and I was like, I'm good. Teenage sex, and I'm straight.
It was not.
My mom said it. My mom used her favorite word, Nakia. It was risque.
Okay, Mama Blanche, I love you. It was not a lot of sex. It was a lot of intimated sex. And these are not teenagers for real. My wife did the same thing. She's like, oh, I don't want to see. These are not real teenagers. These are young people in their 20s. But
do we want to watch pretend teenagers doing
it? But here's what I loved about this story. Mm-hmm. Because it was Judy Blume. I guess it was a remake of a book by Judy Blume. So they flipped the whole character. Judy Blume, it was a story about some folks in the 70s, white teenagers in the 70s. They flipped it. They modernized it. I love the fact that they had Wood Harris in there playing his father, and he was Wood. For people that would have Wood Harris, Avon Barksdale from The Wire was the father in this show, and he was a restaurateur who was very successful. So they had all those elements, but it was something that if you watch this, I know I can relate to this. I can relate to being a teenager, falling in love with another teenage girl. You guys go through your emotional roller coasters and everything. When we did it 30 years ago, it was different. You passing little notes and little phone calls. Now, a lot of this show was about texting, and now I'm putting you on block, and now I'm taking you off block. And it was all of that. And you realized this is the teenage type of love that many of us have gone through. And also, they threw some stuff in there around some sex tape stuff and whatever. And it just was I think Mari Brock Akil, who has been behind, I think, Girlfriends and a lot of some of the great television we've seen over the last 20 years. She was behind it. I highly recommend it. Trey and I binged it over that weekend. So what are you guys watching?
So we are back watching Criminal Minds. Criminal Minds is now on Paramount.
Season 150. Go ahead.
Huh?
How many seasons is this thing on? 150, 175?
It is on 18.
Oh, God.
Fine. We just wrapped up SWAT. SWAT is no longer going to be on the air. Well, this iteration of SWAT, we just wrapped up SWAT. Mm-hmm. That was interesting. And we are watching Mobland, and Mobland is...
We just started watching Mobland. We're like 2 episodes in, I think.
Oh, okay. So you've seen the bad stuff. Well, the start of the bad stuff already.
I started the bad stuff. The whole, what's his name? Pierce Brosnan. Who was always known as being this old pretty boy, super handsome.
Bond.
Yeah, he was James Bond, right? And so now he's playing this Irish gangster.
Not even that. his wife Maeve, Helen Mirren, who everybody loves, Helen Mirren, who's always playing the sweet, nice part. She's now the grimiest mob wife to ever exist. She
It's
is
interesting. I think I'll get that back in rotation. And then you're talking about regular TV shows. I'm watching my Chicago show, Chicago Fire, Chicago PD,
except for
and
Chicago Med, which I love Chicago Med, but you said it's too much of a soap opera.
I used to watch Chicago Med. Sometimes I make these. I'm not picking up another series. I was watching it for a while and then I stopped watching it. So it is what it is. All right, y'all. Well, anything else on your brain before we get up out of here? All right, y'all. We'll talk to y'all next week. Peace and bye.